it's interesting because it seems to me there's a fundamental distinction between politicians and money men such as yourself. Politicians constantly deal in grey areas and seek compromise that's workable. You are a pure capitalist, and even in this discussion what we've sort of been heading toward is your belief in capitalism read in tooth and claw. There's a sort of purity to the market in your view of how capitalism works, and therefore you're very different from the politician. You know, he's looking for grey areas. You frankly believe the market should be allowed to rule, come what may, don't you?
Well, again, it's the nature of how fearful you are regarding your own decisions. Yeah, so if you're a politician and you get it wrong, okay, you get booted out. Yeah, that's the worst thing that happens. Yeah, I get it wrong. Yeah, I lose everything. Yeah, so I'm kind of a little bit more focused. The other distinction I would draw is that the politicians, they love it when things are going up, and there are arcs of time, there are arcs of prosperity. We've gone through one of these very prominent arcs of prosperity where society got richer and richer. Now the politicians like that, and they don't quibble about the financial consequences which deliver that performance, but when it turns, they then reject everything that they were implicit in previously.
Yeah, but I just wonder whether you, when you listen to the mood music, we talked about the Bank of England, but let's talk, the Conservative-led coalition government is living with a 50p top tax rate, it's increased capital gains tax, it's talking about a crackdown on tax avoiders and tax evaders, and we've got the Labour Party struggling to find a new leader, talking about really wrestling with inequality, looking for a new, more just form of capitalism. Do you accept that there can be a different, ameliorated form of capitalism?
I think we've had an experiment in this Frankenstein form of capitalism. I would give you the precedent in America of Fannie and Freddie Mac. These are essentially government entities which were listed on the stock market and which lend to the population to buy houses. Right, so regulated, has a public conscience, is publicly regulated, failed.
So you're arguing for less regulation?
I'm arguing for the regulation whereby failure doesn't require the purse of the public.
But I'm asking you something maybe a bit more nuanced, whether you can have that, but also have, to use the word used by Ed Miliband, one of the Labour contenders, a more just, less aggressive form of capitalism.
But that's just loaded with value judgment. So so again, you have, in Whitehall, you have a department for determining if something is just. Life doesn't work that way. We can't define just. What does just mean?
Well, I'll tell you what it means to a lot of people. It means looking at the rewards that come with your sort of business, and let's face it, I know tens of millions of pounds for people like you who make successful, high-risk bets, and they look at the rewards that come to a policeman or a nurse or whatever, and they say, our society is sending the wrong sort of signals about where worth lies.
Is it? Is it really? And do you get to the point where you say, actually, we've decided, we've had a commission, we've had a commission of determining what just is, and we've just decided that you get paid too much, and actually you don't get paid enough. So we're going to raise your salary and we're going to cut your salary. I mean, this is fantasy land. It doesn't work. You know, a footballer, it would seem, gets paid if they're successful and score goals, if you will. They get paid an obscene amount of money. But if you suffered in terms of you didn't show the commitment in education perhaps, and you didn't really achieve any grades, and you find yourself pursuing a task which 1.3 billion people in China can do, can we do anything about that? Do we double your salary and just say you're worth it, enjoy it? Or do we say we're going to keep the 1.3 billion Chinese in poverty? I mean, justice is
so we should not for a moment think about intervening, should we, to reduce the bank bonuses, the hedge fund profits that we see and seem so out of kilter, particularly in what is now, for all of us, an age of austerity.
I have revulsion with regard to the use of the public purse in bailing out the banking sector. I have revulsion in how those
with
those
respect, it's not as
bonuses
simple
returned.
as that. Just saying, oh, well, the banks that are now owned by the public shouldn't pay these sorts of
Well, do you
bonuses.
know it is?
Frankly, the whole financial
Do you know it is?
system was bailed out by the public. Your job would not be the job it is today had the public purse not been used to safeguard the banking system, and you know it.
I'd have made more money. I would have made more money if the public purse
If
had
there'd
not
been
been
a
used.
complete financial meltdown.
I'd have made more money. Yeah. So I've been thwarted in my endeavours to make more money by the generosity of taxpayers who are now set to lose their jobs if they're public servants. Yeah. If you look at Latvia, let's take it outside the UK. Latvia is an economy where they have been destroyed. They've taken such economic hardship so that they can pay back Scandinavian bankers who were foolish in lending them money in the first place. I would advocate a haircut. I would say to you that the Swedish bankers who lent them money should be returned only 50 cents in the dollar.
When you were a kid growing up in Glasgow, and you weren't from a rich background at all, you said you either wanted to be a lawyer or an accountant because you knew it was one way to get out of your beginnings. Wouldn't it be better if we could create an economy where people wanted to be scientists, engineers, where the value, the reward that came with those sorts of jobs was as great in some ways as comes with being a hedge fund manager?
Absolutely. And I would say to you, I think it will come. I would say to you that the abhorrence about the remuneration of speculators and a kind of a desire, this notion of social justice to do something about it, I don't think it's necessary, because I think we've reached a point where they've taken all the gains and it can only go the other way. I think society now...
Hang on, you're talking in the third person, but you say even for yourself, you feel you've taken the rewards as far as they can go.
I'm saying generically. I think my rewards, I think I could eke something out, but that's a kind of contrarian sense. But I think overall that it's been too easy to make money from financial speculation, and I think that ease will disappear. I think there are far too many hedge funds. I think the number of hedge funds could fall by a factor of 80% over the next 10 years. Yeah. I think stock markets in 10 years' time, I think stock markets in 20 years' time may be no higher than they are today. I think house prices likewise. Yeah? Try making money in that environment. Try to have an appetite to be a hedge fund manager in that appetite. I think at that point in time, you're more keen on being a doctor or an engineer. So I think it's coming.
Hugh Hendry, it's a fascinating moment to end. Thank you very much for being on Hard Talk. Thank you.